The movie starts with a Deccan Air flight running low on fuel. The pilot tries to get permission to land at the nearest airport, but they refuse. Suddenly, a man named Maara grabs the phone and tells the pilot to land at a nearby Air Force base. Maara and a friend quickly ride a motorbike to the Air Force base. Meanwhile, the plane is almost out of fuel, and the soldiers at the base are shocked when it lands. Maara breaks through the guards on his motorbike to reach the plane, but the pilot, Chai, is badly injured and unconscious. Maara is worried about Chai, but the soldiers arrest him for landing the plane without permission. The story then goes back 6 years to introduce Sundari, a woman who has been rejected by 20 men. She and her family are travelling on an old train to meet a new suitor. Her family complains about the train, and when they arrive in a poor village, they meet a man named Maara. He is the 21st man set to be paired with Sundari. Maara says he doesn't own anything but dreams of starting an airline. Sundari said she had been rejected by 20 men because she couldn't cook, dance or sing. All she wanted was to open a cake shop. Not long after, Sundari's family was invited for a meal by Maara's family. At the dinner table, everyone talked about airplanes. Maara and Sundari had a long chat about their dreams. Seeing Sundari's kind and intelligent nature, Maara agreed to marry her, but Sundari needed time to decide. That night, Sundari's family stayed at Maara's place. Maara and Sundari shared their pasts. Maara explained that his village was very poor, and even trains didn't stop there, making travel hard. His father, a teacher, wrote many letters to the government to get the train to stop, but nothing changed. As Maara grew up, he protested to improve the village, which often led to riots. One day, he threw a stone and hit a protester, making his father furious. In their argument, Maara said he wanted to change the village's condition. His father got so angry that he slapped Maara and forbade him from lighting his funeral pyre. Maara then left home and joined the Air Force. Later, Maara tried to reconnect by sending a letter home, but his father, still mad, threw it away. His mother read the letter aloud. During his tough training, Maara got a 3-minute phone call to his family. Just when his father tried to speak, the call was cut off. His father was disappointed, thinking Maara was still angry with him. Paresh, a businessman, doesn't like Maara's idea of buying plane tickets online to save money. Paresh prefers using travel agents and doesn't want poor people on his flights. Annoyed by Maara's idea, Paresh tells the flight attendant to move Maara to economy class, even though Maara has a business class ticket. The pilot then announces they have to turn back due to a technical issue, and Maara has to get off the plane. At the airport, Maara meets Prakash Babu, who likes Maara's idea of a low-cost airline for Indian people. They talk about it at a restaurant, and Prakash decides to team up with Maara, inviting him to his office next month. The next day, Maara visits Sundari's cake shop to share his success. The shop looks better than before, but Sundari tells Maara she is married with 2 children. Maara feels sad and disappointed by this news. Sundari lied to Maara. When Sundari was selling cakes, Maara came to her again. He wanted to marry her, and she finally agreed. Their hidden love from 3 years ago could finally be expressed. On their wedding day, everyone was happy, especially Maara and Sundari, who were now husband and wife. Soon after, Maara went to Prakash Babu's office to discuss their plans. Maara explained that he wanted to rent a plane, not buy it. He believed this plan would work. At first, the people there were unsure, but in the end, they agreed to work with Maara. Prakash asked him to pay 47 lakhs to order the plane quickly. Maara started working hard to get the money. His mother borrowed money using their family land as collateral. Maara also needed permission from the Director General of Aviation, Anand. Maara waited for hours, but there was no call until the afternoon. The Director General asked him to come back the next day. This happened again and again. Feeling ignored, Maara decided to meet the president with the help of a journalist he met on the plane. Finally, Maara met the president and explained why he wanted a low-cost airline for poor people in India. Behind his determination was a sad story. Back when Maara was an Air Force soldier, his mother called and said his father was sick. She asked him to come home immediately because his father had been waiting to see Maara return home. Maara rushed to the airport but faced trouble. The economy class tickets were sold out, and only business class tickets were left. But Maara didn't have enough money. Desperate, he tried to get a loan at the airport. He seemed crazy, but no one at the airport paid attention to him. They ignored him completely. Security officers eventually kicked him out. He had no choice but to take a long bus ride back to his hometown. Meanwhile, his father was dying. When he arrived home, he found a crowd gathered. Sadly, he learned his father had passed away. Maara's mother was upset because Maara hadn't made it back in time. Maara couldn't even light a fire to cremate his father, as his father's dying wish. Reading his father's letter broke Maara's heart. It turned out his father had always been proud of him and loved him deeply. This sad experience motivated Maara to prevent others from suffering the same fate. Touched by Maara's story, the president helped him with the licensing process. Anon reluctantly signed the permit. Soon, Maara's airplane, named Deccan Air, was being designed, but just before its first flight, problems arose. It turned out Prakash, a man named Aaron, had deliberately caused issues to hinder Maara. After obtaining a flight permit, Paresh, acting as the Director General of Licensing, introduced new rules. Every flight now needed approval from the Director General of Aviation. This caused Maara's airline to lose its plane due to sanctions for not following the new rules. Now, Maara had lost everything. He had even mortgaged his parents' land and his own home. Maara protested to Anon, but he was ignored and kicked out of the office. Filled with anger, he confronted Paresh, but security guards tried to arrest him. Desperate and full of failures, Maara fought often with his wife Sundari. Despite their fights, she always supported him and believed in his dreams. As time passed, Maara remained sad about his losses. He realized he had pushed his wife away. He decided to reconcile with her. Maara apologized to Sundari and surprised her with the news that she was pregnant. The next day, Maara came up with an idea. He wanted to convert a cargo plane into a regular airplane to save fuel, but he didn't have enough money to build it. Maara borrowed money from Sundari and his uncle, and villagers donated some money to help start his flight. However, Deccan Air faced problems again. Tracks controlled by Paresh blocked their planes from landing. Despite this, Maara didn't give up. He found a new flight path and used an old airport in India. Gradually, Maara's plan started to work. He sold tickets online and partnered with trains. Finally, Deccan Air's first flight took off, but it almost ran out of fuel mid-flight. Paresh refused their request for an emergency landing. The story goes back to Maara making an emergency landing and getting captured at an Air Force base, where Naidu, his former leader, handled Maara's case. Naidu, an honest soldier, refused Paresh's orders to punish Maara. After many challenges, on August 16, 2003, Deccan Air successfully launched as a commercial airline. During the inaugural flight, Maara had to take control when the plane's wing was damaged just before takeoff, causing panic among passengers. In the midst of chaos, the Prime Minister left, and Maara faced a barrage of questions from reporters. He's suspected of risking international security by selling tickets cheaply. Maara, feeling down, found a bit of happiness when his wife gave birth to their daughter. When Maara's plane failed to take off, he discovered someone had negligently not refueled it. That person was Mahona, bribed by Paresh to sabotage the flight. After an incident risking many lives, Deccan Air faced heavy sanctions. Fortunately, Mahona admitted his mistake, so Deccan Air didn't get a severe penalty. But now, people doubt their safety with cheap tickets. Indians fear flying Deccan planes. Desperate, Maara sought new investors after being abandoned by the minister. An investor wanted high ticket prices, which Maara refused, disappointing his military friends who supported his dream. On Sidra's radio, Maara exposed Paresh's crimes, accusing him of fearing poor people flying and stopping Maara's dream at any cost. Many people heard about an event where Paresh criticized cheap planes, saying they can't keep passengers safe. He argued that airlines should focus more on passenger safety. This sparked a debate that left the public unsure who was right. Maara decided to take action to restore trust. He flew with his mother, wife and daughter on Deccan Air to prove its safety. He stayed alert to prevent any sabotage by Paresh. The next day, Maara met with Naidu and Air Force soldiers who protected Deccan's planes. August 25, 2003, became a historic day for Deccan Air. Maara's family and waiting passengers were disappointed when no one showed up due to a ticketing issue. Luckily, a friend fixed the problem, showing people still trusted Deccan Air. The flight went smoothly, fulfilling Maara's dream to fly with those in need. A touching moment happened when a grandmother thanked Maara for the opportunity. Overjoyed, Maara's mother hugged him, seeing his dream come true with a photo of his father. Later, Maara refused Paresh's offer to cooperate, confident in his victory to uplift the underprivileged. The film ends happily, showing Maara and his friends walking away, celebrating their dreams coming true.